So round 8 of the Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship, organised by the Welsh Racing Drivers Association, coming out onto the grid. It's going to be Keith Butcher in the Audi R8 LMS that's on pole position. Now Dave Cookell's Escort Cosworth was due to be alongside him, but had problems towards the end, didn't spot if he was there when they left the assembly area. Chris Everill in the Ginetta number 69 will be on row 2 alongside Mark Jones number 48 in the Seat. Kirk Armitage in the Escort number 119 will have Damien Longatano's Westfield alongside him, that's number 44. Then it's Michael Moss in the Caterham alongside Mark Williams in the Polo, that's on row number 4. Row 5 you've got Glyn Jones in the BMW M3, number 26, and Gary Bowers, the 31 BMW M135. Row 6 will be Scott Hubel in the Peugeot 205 number 12, and Simon Hutchins in the 37 Mazda MX-5. Row 7, 59 Jack Eager in the Porsche 911. Sorry, 968 I should say, and 87 David Jones in the Ford Focus. Row 8 will be 86 Ellis Wiggins in the Nova, and Colin Dunn in the Renault Clio. Andrew Williams in the MG ZR is on row 9, number 88, alongside the number 13 car of Alan Smith. Then it's Verity Banks Ford Focus, and then the drivers that didn't make it to the end of the early race, so Mark Nicholson, Andy Williams, Roger Dowd and Gareth Haycock, and in fact Adam Eager, who's taken over the Porsche 968 for this second race, and he therefore will go from the back of the grid. It's a rolling start.
And Roger Dowden's Davrian is back on 4 wheels.
So, that is good news.
Yeah.
Well, it's not yet completed the green flag lap, Marcus, to be fair, so that's when it lost its wheel, coming up to this corner, I think it was, wasn't it, on the green flag lap earlier on. You can definitely see the change in conditions there, and Matt Rosie referred to them, didn't he? Wet on one half of the track and dry on the other. And some of these cars are slick tired as well.
And straight into the pits has gone the beautiful Special Saloon-esque Escort, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I wonder if that's because is he on slicks?
Could well be.
Yeah.
So Dave Cookell's there with the formerly incontinent Escort Cosy.
As the cars head through Club Corner, red lights are about to go off for this rolling start. They do now, and away they go. Ginetta looks to make a pretty decent start, but it's going to be the Audi that leads into Abbey for the first time. Although Dave Cookell in the Ford Escort Cosworth not too far behind. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they get onto the other half of the circuit, down through the Lincoln onto Hang Straight, where it's a bit wetter. The rain has stopped. Oh, and splashing his way there through a puddle was Keith Butcher. The Ginetta's made it up to second in the hands of Chris Everill.
He dived through between Cookell and Butcher, didn't he, at Village? And Chris Everill looking like he means it.
Yeah, it certainly does. Then you've got the Mark Jones Seat in 4th place, a car that we saw out yesterday in the Club Enduro race. 13 minutes plus 1 lap is the distance for this one. And it's the Audi leading then as they come down towards Stowe for the first time. The Ginetta, number 69 of Chris Everill in 2nd place, the G50. And then in 3rd place, it's always Dave Cookell going very wide there. And that might allow Mark Jones in the... No, it doesn't quite allow Mark Jones in the Seat to go through into 3rd position. Chris Everill on the brakes is closing in rapidly on the back of the Audi.
Yeah, he's looking good, isn't he? He closed down probably a 30 or 40 metre gap. Cookell going backwards now. I think perhaps he's got a problem, or was maybe seeking grip offline and has misjudged the amount of grip that this new surface harbours.
Yes, it's not been raced on that often in wet conditions, has it? There's one car making up ground here. We can see into Abbey is the number 12 car. That is the Scott Hubel Peugeot 205. So that is up into 6th place now, I think. So that's revelling in the wet conditions. Keith Butcher and Chris Everill, both of them in Class D for the supercars. It's quite a complicated class structure we have here for the Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship, as you can see by the full array of colours on the screen there.
Suffice to say 8 classes among 20-odd runners.
Yeah, so you've got the 2 Class D supercar categorised cars together. Butcher, again, down the hang straight, is able to pull out from Everill, but I think we'll find that down into Vale that changes again. Damien Longatano, we barely saw him in race 1, the number 44 car. He's ahead of Scott Hubel now. A
little bit of debris on the middle of the hanger straight.
Yeah.
Tiny bit.
Yeah, nothing too much to worry about, but one car does just run over there. That's the Porsche of Adam Eager, up from the back of the grid. There's the 87 Focus of David Jones. So you've got Scott Hubel here, and I think that is the
1 Series BMW.
So that's Gary Bowers behind him, isn't it, in the Rich Energy.
So Hubel's got ahead of Bowers.
He has indeed. Leaders have gone through again, 1.3 seconds between Keith Butcher and Chris Everill. There's Mark Jones in third now, that's showing. So Dave Cockell has gone, hasn't he? So yes, that makes sense. Yep. Damien Longatano fourth, Scott Hubel fifth, Gary Bowers sixth, Mark Williams seventh, Michael Moss, the reigning champion, eighth, Simon Hudgens ninth, and David Jones rounds out the top 10. But this gap is really on a piece of elastic between the top two. It was 1.3 seconds at the start of the lap. It's now much less than that. As we watch the two classmates battling for second and third in their class, Scott Hubel and Gary Bowers do battle. They are in class 1A, as it's shown on our sheets.
Yeah, last time through, Longatano was considerably quicker than Mark Jones, and that progress is still being made. Here comes Bowers out alongside Hubel. Takes the place, going down into Stowe Corner.
Yeah, and
Harry Vatanen there in the Peugeot.
Yes, so you've got a car there with its Genesis in the mid-80s and a much more modern 1 Series BMW now under threat from another more modern car. That's the Polo of 180, which is Mark Williams. Truly eclectic grid we have in the
prompt transport, getting prompter by the lap.
It certainly is. It's raining again, and that's raining at this end of the circuit as well, so it might well sort of even out the degree of moisture around the track, which has been inconsistent up to now. The marshals now getting their waterproofs on beneath us. So you've got Bowers there, Hubel, then Mark Williams. So this 5th, 6th and 7th. Mark Williams is second within his class behind Damien Longatano at the moment. Two leaders are still Butcher in the Audi and Everill in the Ginetta.
Funny, isn't it, how you see a racing Golf now and a racing Polo, and they're barely distinguishable. The Polo's grown, the Golf's grown.
They have indeed.
Saw the yellow Davrian charging along, made by Adrian Evans, originally in Clapham, an old dairy.
Okay.
Same place as Burt Ray made his old cars. The Palliser cars were made there as well, in that row.
That's number 1, Michael Moss, and he is doing battle with the car of, I think that's Simon Hutchins, isn't it? Number 37, the Mazda MX-5, so that's got ahead of him on this lap. Hutchins up into 8th place as a result of that. There's Hubel in the number 12, 205. Hot looking car, ahead of the 180.
Used to get them with those Williams. Sort of dimmer body kits that made them look like the works cars.
Yes.
It used to come with often with a turbo engine as well, those kits.
That's 8th and 9th coming through, Hutchins and Moss. As there's our leader, just having lapped the Davrian. 36 it is that leads, Keith Butcher by 1.8 seconds from Chris Everill now. Also,
I think the Butcher probably has driven that Audi in the wet before, as Everill's new to that particular Ginetta this weekend.
Yeah. 53 Verity Banks has also been lapped to notice. She's just behind Roger Dowden's Davrian. Now Damien Longatano has been caught here by Gary Bowers on the last lap, batted a 1:23.33. Longatano 1:24.68. The times have gone out a little bit from
Hubel and Williams are matching Bowers' times.
Yeah, so they're all closing in on Longatano, number 44, who's been a regular in the Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship for a while now. He's 5th in the championship, but he was coming into this weekend.
Fairly twitchy thing in lightweight car, skittish on these wet conditions, and more sure-footed, the BMW in his wake. Damien Longatano being caught by Gary Bowers in the 31 BMW.
Yeah, these cars in different classes, of course. Longatano's actually in the same class as the Polo, a couple of cars behind, because of the way the class structure works, mixing sort of saloon cars in with the kit type cars. That Westfield, as we have had the change there. Gary Bowers gets through ahead of Longatano now and up into 4th position. He's about to lap Verity Banks as well by the looks of it. Adam Eager from the back of the grid, I can see, number 59, he's up to 11th place now in the Porsche 968, so he's gradually made up places. Verity Banks keeps well out of the way of 6th place driver Scott Hubel with about 7.5 minutes left to go. Actually, I think it might be more like 5.5, because I think it's actually a 13-minute plus 1 lap race rather than a 15 plus 1 as was originally touted. So Longatano now having to try and get back ahead of Gary Bowers in that 1 Series BMW, but also keep an eye on his mirrors, because he will have Scott Hubel in the 205 coming up behind him before too much longer.
Probably more interested in Mark Williams in the Polo, who is his class rival. Car number 180, the Prompt Transport VW Polo.
Yeah, there's the Rich Energy.
They don't look obvious classmates, do they?
No, they don't. If you had to sort of put them into class by eye, you would have done that. Oh, and the Rich
Up
Energy
over the curb, wasn't it, the BMW, because he couldn't get past the Davrian.
Yeah, and he should be able to now in a straight line, but actually Longatano might get a run on him as well down into Abbey.
And Hubel and Williams.
Yeah, so that sort of backed him up a little bit. Actually, Longatano and the rest weren't close enough to capitalise on that. Keith Butcher's best lap of the race on the second lap, the first flying lap of 1:15.55.
Yes, since when conditions have got steadily worse.
Yeah, and that's about 6 seconds slower than the best lap in the earlier race.
Yeah, now they're just, it's greasy now, isn't it?
It is.
There's no standing water.
No, probably one of the most difficult conditions for all, especially on a circuit that is a surface that is still relatively new.
And new in terms of experience to a lot of these drivers.
Yeah.
As well.
Yes, I imagine lots of these are racing on this layout for the first time this weekend.
Yeah, Everall's closed right in now as the as conditions are perhaps coming back to him a little. There we go. Look, the leaders are together up at Village, and Everall's challenging. There's significantly some traffic just ahead of the Audi R8 LMS, and the Everall got a very good run out of there. And now he's in a position to slipstream the Audi down the straight, the 5.2 litre Audi R8.
As they lap the 88 Andrew Williams MG ZR105 that's running in 14th position, second behind Colin Dunn in that class. Colin Dunn, the championship leader coming into this weekend. Down the straight, the Audi just able to pull away a little bit, I think, from the Ginetta, but we'll see if that changes around again as they come down to the Vale. As we head into the closing stages of this race, the Ginetta just not quite stable. It didn't seem to me through that corner there. Just had to make a correction part way round. That might have cost him a 10th. But actually,
it's quick out though, isn't he?
He is. What's the gap? A quarter of a second, less than a quarter of a second now, as they go on to lap 9. But you just sense in the straights, the Audi has the legs, and that makes it really quite difficult for the Ginetta to pass in some of the more obvious places.
It's this bit of the circuit now where Chris Everall is significantly swifter than Keith Butcher.
Yeah, and he gets a better run there, doesn't he, out of Village. They drop down towards the link, but no, he's still behind the white car of Butcher, the Audi R8 LMS.
Now he's just trying to get the power on as soon as he can, as early as he dares. And they're back onto the straight. Nothing much between this pair.
Yeah, so it's Butcher from Everall in the lead of the race. Mark Jones 3rd, Damien Longatano 4th, Gary Bowers 5th, Mark Williams 6th, Scott Hubel 7th. The message has come from the YouTube feed actually from Brian Richardson. He said that Scott Hubel's car is a space-framed rear-engined rear-wheel drive car. So that's the story that Brian's telling us about Scott Hubel's machine that's in 7th place. But let's focus on the leaders, because there's not too much longer to go in this race. Over the line they go.
A lot of traffic, including the Davrian, which was obstinate last time round.
Well, now the Clear's trying to get past the Davrian as well, which makes life no easier. That's the 19 car of Colin Dunn, the class leader, the championship leader.
Gave a slightly anxious moment to Chris Everall there at Abbey. Everall comes up the outside. This is his big chance. Now, can he cut back, keep the car on the track, now get the power on, which he does?
No, I don't think he can he? No, it's not going to work out.
Quite close enough. But he's really good through here, and Butcher's now being super defensive. He's slow onto the straight, and this has allowed Everall to be much closer to him under that wing earlier on the hangar straight with a whole gaggle of cars ahead of them.
Yeah, so along the hanger straight, lapping the 87 Focus of David Jones, the green and orange and black coloured car. Coming up towards the end of the 13-minute timed element of this race. Only about 20 seconds to go, dropping down now towards the Vale. And it's a bigger gap here, isn't it, than it has been on previous laps, Marcus?
Yes, definitely. They're not in the same shot some of the time. This Alpha Live presentation.
So through to complete another lap.
2 minutes.
Yeah, well, I think that makes it 13 minutes gone, and I think this could well be the last lap then. We'll see. Certainly Everall about a second behind, and probably not such a promising position he has been on the previous 2 laps. But again, he closes right up at the hairpin. Can he get the cut back here? This time he can, but not really make the most of it. So down to the link, back onto the hanger straight once again.
Slightly understeery Clio ahead of them.
Yeah, so they'll be trying to keep out of the way of that one.
They'll be into the rest of the cars on the next lap, won't they?
Yeah, if we go an extra lap, I'm just wondering if we'll see the checkered flag at the end of this one, because we had 13 minutes. Marcus is checking to see if we can see a checkered flag being poised down towards the Stowe and down towards the Vale then, past Verity Banks for the umpteenth time, it seems, during the course of this race. Through the Vale towards Club. Are we going to see a flag of any description this time? It looks like we are not. So we are going to go, I think, the full 15 minutes plus 1 lap this time, rather than 13 plus 1 as we did last time around. So it's Butcher from Everall, 1.25 seconds the gap this time, but Everall actually did his best lap of the race that time through, so too did Butcher. So the conditions obviously have improved in the last 5 minutes or so. To go quicker than they were at the beginning of the race, although still a few seconds off what they were managing earlier on.
Everall's pretty mighty at Village, isn't he? And through the link.
He's not bad at all through there.
Because the gap at Club looked significant.
It did. So onto the hanger straight they go. Ahead of them you can see the number 1 car. That is Michael Moss in his Caterham Sigma. You've also got the 37 Simon Hutchins Mazda MX-5 in the background. That's the 56 Mark Nicholson, the blue Clio that they passed a lap or so ago. And we have now run out of the 15-minute timed element of this race, so we might all get one more lap out of this then. And the rain is starting to fall again, and actually reasonably heavily by the looks of it. So it really has changed quite a lot from the start of this race 15 minutes ago to what we've got now. Quite challenging conditions then for these Welsh drivers. Is it Churlish?
Last lap board is out.
It is. Last lap board is out.
And there are cars to be lapped on both sides of the circuit ahead of the leaders. They negotiate the first one very easily because it's crawling.
Yeah, that's the MGZR that's of Andrew Williams that's, I think, going to come to a halt ultimately.
They've got a 7 type car to get through.
That's Michael Moss, yeah, the Caterham Sigma.
Number 1 car.
So making their way down towards the link onto the hanger straight for the final time. Looks like it's Keith Butcher's race to lose here.
5.2 litres ahead of 3.5.
Coming up on the back of the number 86 Vauxhall Nova of Ellis Wiggins, which normally is slick shot, although I'm not sure it will be on this occasion. Through Stowe Corner for the final time then goes our race leader, Keith Butcher. Just wants that back mark to not impede him now as they head down to the Vale. It keeps well to the right hand side of the circuit, and it looks like Keith Butcher's going to do it in really quite demanding conditions in the end. Turning his way out of the Vale, up to the line, and it's going to be a win for Keith Butcher. I think the checkered flag's gone out in any case, we can't see it out of our window now, but it looks like it's a win. Yes, the marshals are waving, that's always a good sign. Keith Butcher it is that takes the win in the second of the races here for the Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship. He has had a pretty good run this season. He has won already, I think, 4 of the first 6 races before today, so he's added 2 more today to make it 6 from 8 in the Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship, beating Chris Everall by a second here It's quite a big gap back to Mark Jones in third place, nearly a minute behind the two leaders in the end. So some of the lapped cars have come through. Michael Moss winning his class, Simon Hutchins winning his, Mark Nicholson winning his class. I can see Colin Dunn, the championship leader, winning his, so he keeps his 100% record. Ellis Wickens also has a win, so too does Alan Smith. Not quite everyone's a winner, but certainly a lot of them are. As we wait for the third place car to confirm, it finally appears. There it is, Mark Jones, a minute and 4 seconds behind Keith Butcher, and Damien Longatano's Westfield also eventually appears to take 4th position, but the lap times were sort of probably 15 seconds a lap slower than they managed in the earlier race towards the end there. Gary Bowers 5th in the BMW, flashing its lights there. Mark Williams 6th in the 180 Polo, 7th going the way of Scott Hooble. Let's confirm those results now. Keith Butcher taking the win.
Hooble's not home yet. There he is, just taking it now.
Yeah, Keith Butcher taking the win by 1.09 seconds from Chris Everall. Mark Jones 3rd, a minute or so behind. Damien Longatano was 4th, number 44, 5th to number 31, Gary Bowers in the BMW. 6th was Mark Williams, then Scott Hooble, Michael Moss, and the rest further back. Adam Eager, good drive from him in the Porsche 968. But from the back of the grid, David Jones it was that took 12th place. Collins won his class to cement the championship lead with a few more, I think 4 more rounds left to go. Ellis Wiggins, Alan Smith, Andrew Williams, Roger Down and Verity Banks completed the finishes, but sadly Dave Cockell's Escort was an early retirement. I think possibly the rain has just about stopped now after that Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship race. Keith Butcher and Chris Everall, as you can see, have made it back into the pit. I'm wondering if steaming up might have been a problem there as well. Josh can tell us about that in a moment. We've got our top 2. Might be a while before we get our third place car, Josh, but I'll hand down to you in the pit lane.
No steaming up on the cars down here, Ian, so that's all good. Or particularly not on the Audi. Maybe the Janetta just a touch, but the Audi full clear visibility for Keith Butcher. Also, lots of work have gone into that R8 by Audi Sport. Multiple winner of 24-hour races throughout the world, including at the Nürburgring and at Spa, the 2 big GT3 races. And Keith Butcher wins here at the 750 Motor Club meeting at Silverstone. We'll grab a word with Keith in a second. Find out what it was like on those slick tyres on the wet circuit. Well done, Keith. Can we make our way? Well done, Keith. That was looked extremely tricky conditions on slick.
The last sort of 2 laps was really bad. Yeah, so quite excited, I suppose, really. But I can see him catching me, and you know, but it's okay for him. He can see where it's a bit slippery or not, you know. So anyway, it was okay. But I just didn't want to pile it into anything, you know.
It's worth a bit of money, isn't it?
It is, yeah, yeah. And coming down the hangar straight there, it was still going into 6th gear, and you know, but obviously braking quite a bit earlier.
You're sort of only like 12 seconds, I think, off of a dry lap time, so that's still pretty impressive, actually.
Is it? Oh, right, okay. I had the traction control and the ABS turned right up. Yeah.
But well done on 2 wins this weekend. Thanks for bringing the car out. In second place was Chris in the Janetta. You're all over the back of the Audi at times.
Yeah, I tried hard, but just didn't have enough grunt down the straight. But I was hoping it's going to carry on raining, but when it started to rain a bit harder, we only had 1 lap left then. But I was all over him through the twisty stuff, but I can't catch him down the straight, so I tried hard.
Problem when you have the less powerful car, it makes overtaking very tricky.
Yeah, because you can't get on them into the corners because they come down the straight. What you needed was a bit more power, and then you get into by them running the corners. But I tried hard. It's a good race. Slippery, very slippery.
Well done keeping it on the track and taking second place. In third position was the first of the Saloon cars, which was Mark Jones. Mark, third position, and much like the other 2 guys, I'm sure very slippery out there.
Very slippery, yeah. Really bad. But a bit of a challenge and a bit of fun.
You were out yesterday as well in the Club Enduro Championship. Very different type of race, I guess, the short distance to the long one.
Yeah, we had problems with the front bearing yesterday and the front wheel. Hence it collapsed on us in the end. Hence we were braking problems yesterday. So, yeah, a very different day. But I was a bit disappointed yesterday. But today it's a bit different matter.
A great car though to drive, I should think.
Phenomenal. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Yeah.
Well done on a podium today. So third place for Mark Jones, second Chris Everett with the race win to Keith Butcher. We've got a couple more races to go, and the first of those will be the second run this afternoon for the Clio 182 Championship.